just talk about this highly compressed chorus octave divider, fretless with a pick. I mean, who does that? Why on earth am I holding two Stingrays, a fretless, a drumstick, a piece of a diaper, and a pick? Because today we're looking at Tony Levin's bass masterpiece, Peter Gabriel's 1986 record, So. All right, let's get into the first tune. This is called Red Rain.
How can I make a single sound unless you scream? It can't be that cool. The ground is too warm to touch. Hey, we touch. This place is so quiet. Sensing that storm. Red rain.
One thing I love about Tony's playing, one of the many things actually, is his use of space. And he creates these parts that are so recognizable. And because they leave a lot of room, you notice them, right? If he were playing, it would start to become a bit of a wash, right? But he is really choosy and intentional about the notes he plays. So this verse. And in terms of tone, I'm compressing this thing pretty hard. I'm playing with a pick, and I have also the controls on my Stingray almost maxed out. Maybe just a touch of the treble down, but the bass is almost all the way up. And then I'm playing with a bit of chorus as well, and that octave divider. I'm trying to use some of the stuff that will be similar to what Tony used back in the 80s, right? This record came out in 86. That was really before the proliferation of the mass-produced 5-string. So Tony is playing a standard 4-string Stingray during this time. He also has a fretless that he plays. He's playing a lot of octave divider, which was an OC2. He's using a lot of compression, and there's also some chorus used as well. So what I've got today, I have my 79 Stingray. I have a fretless that I'm using too, which is an Ibanez Musician. And I also have a 3-leaf audio octave pedal. I have chorus in a Line 6 HX stomp. And I have compression by way of an Origin Effects Cali 76. And if you're curious about any of these sounds, don't worry. I mean, the editing team at SBL is incredible. They're going to put together a PDF workbook for you that's going to be located in the description. Next up is one of my favorite songs of all time, Sledgehammer. And a great little anecdote about this tune. As the band was packing up after they were finished tracking, Peter said, there's one more thing I'd like to try. And it became Sledgehammer.
You could have a steam train if you just lay down your tracks. You could have it.
Let's just talk about this highly compressed chorus octave divider, fretless with a pick. I mean, who does that? So this riff uses the Mixolydian mode. And come here. If you don't know what Mixolydian means, I'll make it very simple for you. It's just a major scale with a flat 7. So in second finger form, that's how we play a major scale, right? We probably all know that. Well, all you need to do is take that D, which is the 7th degree, and make it a D flat. Now let's change the fingering a little bit. We're going to go into this fingering. So 3 notes per string, and then we're going to slide up, so 4 notes on the D string to get that Mixolydian flat 7. And then you have the riff. So you have 1, slide up to the 3, play the 5, then the octave. Octave, root, 3, 5, flat 7, that Mixolydian, to the 6. Right? And then there's that cool little riff at the end. This thing. And that is going to be using just an accidental, the flat 3rd. And then a little shake at the end. And instead of going up and down like guitar vibrato, we're gonna go classical vibrato. We're gonna wiggle it that way. Next up is track 3 off of So, the beautiful Don't Give Up featuring Kate Bush. I love this song, and this is so fascinating. Tony Levin, when he traveled to the session, had to bring his infant daughter. And when they started to work on this song, it was a drum machine program, and Tony was thinking of this thing, of a line, this ostinato that would go along with the drum machine, and he wanted a muted sound. So he reached into his bass case that he had packed full of diapers and stuffed a diaper under the bridge of his Stingray and got this sound that Lanois and Peter Gabriel referred to as the Super Wonder Nappy bass sound.
I never thought I could fail. No fight left, or so it seems. I am a man whose dreams have all deserted. I've changed my face, I've changed my name, but no one wants you when you lose.
Let's take a look at this incredible bass line. So I heard that Tony actually started without the harmony, without the thirds on the top. And I have this bass tuned down a half step actually, okay? So this actually is in C, but I'm playing it up a half step because to get the low E flat later in the tune, I need it down a half step. And I didn't want to use a 5-string because Tony didn't use a 5-string on this record, right? So I'm gonna play this. Oof, and immediately I want to like take this treble out because it's so bright, but it's so bright on the record. And that sound really happens as a result of the muting, the diaper nappy muting at the bridge and the treble all the way up. So I'm going to try to play it nice and light and clean. Next up's a song called That Voice Again. And Tony actually doesn't even play the bass guitar on this tune. He plays a Chapman stick. And while I don't have a Chapman stick, I think it's possible to think about your bass like a Chapman stick. So now we're going to talk about tapping. Okay? And it seems just like this symphony of things happening, right? Like I feel like there's several stick parts panned left and right, multi-tracked. So we're not gonna like grab the official stick thing that he played. But what I want you to do, if you scroll to this part of the tune, I want you to let it inspire a part in you, right? This is hanging out on an E flat, right? And the 3 notes that are happening, there's E flat, there's a D flat, and a G flat. I'm gonna play them here. And then I'm gonna hold down the bass note E flat with this hand, my 3rd finger. That seems to be like my most powerful finger while still getting a mute back here. Okay, so maybe we start like this. We're doing some tapping right now at Scott's bass lessons. I mean, it's such a fun technique. Dig into this one. What a blast. Get your boom boxes out. Hold them high over your head, John Cusack. It's time for In Your Eyes.
1,000 churches, resolution of all the fruitless searches. Oh, I see the light and the heat. Oh, I wanna be that complete. I wanna touch the light, the heat I see in your eyes.
Now look, I know that I said the 5-string wasn't mass produced in 1984-85 when this record was being made, but There's another bass player that played on this record named Larry Klein. And everything that I've seen of Larry, even a performance on YouTube in '86, he's playing a Yamaha BB5000, which was one of, I think maybe the first actually, production model 5-string. So I thought, why not bust this out? Makes me want to bust out the boombox, get out the trench coat, play some tunes in the rain, holding my boombox high above my head. Let's move on. Next up is the beautifully dark Mercy Street, featuring Larry Klein playing what sounds to me like a 5-string.
Swear they know that side, dreaming of mercy in your daddy's arms.
Oh, that sound in the chorus when he's playing. It's so beautiful, and it sounds like an overdub to me. All that is a 10th. And if you don't know, a 10th is just a third that's up an octave. The third degree of a scale or a chord, right? And you take that note and you play it up an octave, and suddenly you have this beautiful wide-sounding harmony. But then I love the sound of him just down low, holding down that low D flat. What do you think? Was it a 5-string? Larry, are you out there? Did you play a 5 on this before a 5 even existed? Weigh in, I'd love to know. Last, but certainly not least, Big Time. Oh, in that first post-chorus is the only place that shows up, and it is unbelievable. The first time I heard it, I was like, is that a pick? Is it slapping? What is going on? And what it is actually this idea that Tony had of playing this thing with a drumstick to get this really percussive thing, but he couldn't make the part happen. So what happened is the drummer, Jerry Murata, actually came out and played drumsticks on Tony's bass while he fingered the notes. It's insane. You can almost hear like a roll of the sticks. This is so hard to do. What actually ended up happening was Tony was trying to do this live for a while with a drumstick, I think approaching it this way. And then Peter Gabriel said to him, why don't you just cut drumsticks off and tape them to your fingers? And the funk fingers were born. There is tons of footage of Tony playing with his funk fingers, which were essentially chopped off wooden dowels, like drumsticks, carved out on a spot, and then gaff taped around his fingers. And it is so Levin. Think about this. Tony was in a creative environment that allowed him to experiment with something like that. I mean, think about the sessions you've played. Think about the artists that you've played with. If you ever said, hey, I think I want to try something and bust out a drumstick and smack my bass and do it really poorly probably for a while before I get it down. Are the creative environments you're in, would they foster that? I love that Peter Gabriel and Daniel Lanois didn't just like shut that down. I love that environment that fosters creativity, right? So cool. So thank you so much for watching. I cannot tell you how thrilled I was to get to make this video. Peter Gabriel, Tony Levin, Daniel Lanois, all just huge influences on my career and on my playing, on my concept of creativity. So I hope you got something out of this. Leave us a comment, give us a like, subscribe to the channel. Tell us what you want to see. Do you know that we read these comments? I go through, I read them. I'll answer back to you, okay? We would love for you to tell us where to take this channel because it is for you. So again, thank you so much. I have been Ian Allison, and I'm going to say it. I'll see you in the shed.